Red Echoes, the Garden of Angels, the Sterling Malkite Amphitheater. This ancient site has known many names and has held great significance to a great many peoples, past and future. Now, however, it's known simply as Red Rocks. Nestled in the small town of Morrison, Colorado, stand the massive stone monoliths that have struck awe in the hearts of man since they first beheld them. The history of this impressive feat of nature dates back far before humans ever walked the earth, roughly to the end of the Cretaceous period between 65 and 145 million years ago. Over an estimated 15 million year time span, the fountain formation on which these rocks sit underwent a significant tectonic event known as the Laramide Orogeny, the same event responsible for the creation of the Rocky Mountains. Over time, this forced the sandstone of the prehistoric ocean floor that Colorado used to be to rise into the 300-foot-high formations we see today. Over the centuries exposed to the elements, erosion weathered away the rocks, causing its striking angled symmetry. This also is responsible for the rock's iconic color, as the oxidation of the iron in the stone gave way to their rust-red palette. Since the end of the Ice Age, roughly 9,000 years ago, early humans have gravitated towards this place. To this day, the site is held sacred to 32 Native American tribes. When Euro-Americans began making their way to Colorado in the late 1850s, they found the site still held great significance to Native peoples, as the Ute tribe used the formations as a gathering place for music, a tradition that has lived on to this day and into Horizon's pre-plague future. First recorded ownership of the land was in 1872 by Marion Burtz, who dubbed the land the Garden of Angels. It would sell just 6 years later to a railroad construction engineer, Leonard H. Eccles, who was the first to develop Red Rocks into a park and visitor destination. In 1905, Red Rocks would be sold again to Brisbane Walker for $5,000. Adjusted for inflation, that's still only about $130,000, less than most condos in the same area today. He would rename the site the Garden of Titans, further developing the park. Due to financial problems, Walker began selling off portions of the land, most of which would eventually fall into the ownership of the city and county of Denver. By the early 1940s, the Denver Mountain Park system held 13,000 acres of land, which set in motion what we know Red Rocks to be today. During the majority of the 1930s, the United States was facing an economic disaster the likes it had never seen before, a time more commonly known as the Great Depression. In hopes of lifting the country out of this turmoil, in 1933, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed a set of programs dubbed the New Deal to achieve this goal. These federal programs provided work relief, predominantly to the young unemployed men of the country at the time. One program in particular, the Civilian Conservation Corps, began a project to convert Red Rocks into a bona fide formal outdoor amphitheater. Once approved in 1935, 200 men arrived and began work on the theater's infrastructure, such as roads and bankside sloping. The actual construction of the amphitheater, however, did not begin until 1936, and would end up being one of the most complex projects constructed by the CCC. Due to the formation between Shiprock and Creation Rock being naturally sloped away from the stage, sizable amounts of dynamite would be needed to reverse the angle. Concerns brought on by plans of blasting over time was a point of criticism from the media, as substantial noise complaints would surely follow. To remedy this, the manager of Denver Parks, George Kramer, decided to condense all the blasting of the project into a single day. Finally, 6 years after the project had been approved, in June of 1941, Red Rocks Amphitheater opened to the public. Since then, it has hosted some of the most iconic artists of our time, such as Ray Charles, the Eagles, Willie Nelson, Ella Fitzgerald, and the Beatles, to name but a few. Between the towering rocks is a space that can hold roughly 8,700 people, with a 100-foot elevation difference from the stage to the top row. In July of 2015, Red Rocks Park was granted National Historic Landmark status, an effort 14 years in the making by those involved in Red Rocks nonprofit, all in the name of preservation and protection against further commercialization of the park. This, according to Horizon's history, is an effort that unfortunately did not stand the test of time. At some point, presumably between 2030 and 2060, the amphitheater would be acquired by Sterling Malkite. Up to the closing era of human civilization, corporate entities such as Sterling Malkite dominated the global economy. In addition to this, sometime before the year 2061, the US Supreme Court ruled on a landmark case concerning these massive businesses. The decision handed down from Schott v. Frost granted corporations the right to run and hold political office through proxy candidates. This would be a contested topic even after the ruling was final, but gave businesses that could afford it unheard of power within the highest positions of politics. Presumably, this influence is what led to Red Rocks being re-privatized for the first time in roughly 150 years. Though ownership may have changed hands, the venue continued to host the most popular artists of the day, such as the Grey Swarms and Turtle Smash. As technology advanced, it would seem the amphitheater would as well, incorporating massive hologram displays with their live performances. Human security personnel would be replaced by drones, equipped with taser technology to ensure events were kept well in hand. Nothing, however, could have prepared the masses of the 21st century for the inevitable extinction that would claim all life on Earth. In the 31st century, the amphitheater finds itself in the realm of the Nora tribe, known locally as the Red Echoes. Though to venture into the ruins of the old ones is considered taboo by the tribe, fearing corruption brought on by the metal world, Red Rocks may be an exception. Due to the formation's natural beauty, as well as the tribe's war party making camp at the foot of the park preceding their attack on the Ring of Metal, the Nora, much like the native peoples centuries before, may have found a profound spiritual link to the site, negating the influence of those who betrayed Allmother and sided with the Metal Devil. Out of all the ruins of the ancients we see in the game, due to the nature of its design, Red Rocks has lasted the test of time better than most. In fact, what we see in Horizon may be closer to how this majestic land may have looked before humans ever set foot upon it than we may have ever seen in our lifetimes. For these rocks have seen the rise and fall of humanity, and miraculously, its rebirth, with a second chance to be better than before, and odds are, will be standing long after they too are gone as well. And with that, our journey comes to an end. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated, and if you really like what we're doing at the channel, come join our community and hit that subscribe button. Also consider supporting the channel on Patreon to help us create new series and tackle new projects just like this. Check out the link in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and keep questing.